Old Chateau Secret. We've all played Pokemon at least once in our lives, or at the very least heard of it. Cindy Arsenu was a young girl who lived in a mansion owned by her father, Leonidas Arsenu, and the graying butler, Cheeves. Cindy was a sweet girl who loved her father very much, but was often very lonely due to her father being busy constantly. And one day, she was granted her wish when a particular Pokemon appeared in front of her as she was watching TV in an upstairs bedroom, the name of which she later discovered was Rotom. Delighted, she played with a new friend daily, discovering Rotom's shape-shifting abilities. Together they would prank Cheeves. Cindy would have the Pokemon transform into household appliances and shock the butler when he intended to use them. The butler would laugh warmly as Cindy came running out of hiding, shouting, "I got you! I got you!" It was on the day of Leonidas' wedding anniversary that the incident occurred. Leonidas' wife, Victoria, had died during childbirth. He held a grudge against his daughter, even though it was not her fault. She could always feel his cold stares at her turned back, but she loved him to pieces regardless. This particular day, Leonidas longed for his wife to be at his side. He sat at his long dinner table, downing enough wine to quench his thirst of a room full of governors. "Another glass for you, Victoria," he would bellow and belch. Cheeves was upstairs, tucking a blanket over the shoulder of a sleeping Cindy, when he heard the drunken shout of his master from downstairs. "Cheeves, come downstairs at once." Recognizing the drunken wobble of Leonidas' voice, Cheeves switched off the lights in Cindy's room and hurried downstairs. Within the dining room, the butler found the master of the house reduced to a drunken mass of limbs sprawled across the wine-stained dining room table. G smiled gently before speaking. "Yes, Mr. Arsenu?" The man slowly lifted his head, his forehead wrinkled, and his cheeks red and sweaty. "I'm hungry. Make me a steak." "Yes, sir. How would you like your steak cooked?" Leonidas groaned, reaching for a glass, knocking it over, and fretting at the clatter of it hitting the table, and spilling the contents over his already soiled pants. He glared up at the butler with glazed eyes. "Get out." Cheeves knew that Leonidas had an unpredictable temper, even when he was sober, and did not want to take any chances. "Of course, sir. I will be back momentarily with your food." When Cheeves returned to the dining hall, Leonidas was in an even further drunken state. He carefully set down the plate of meat in front of the man. "I hope you enjoy it, sir." Leonidas slowly placed a piece of meat in his mouth, and chewed before spitting it in the poor butler's face. With a shout, he grabbed the plate with the remaining steak and threw it against the wall behind him. The noise of shattering porcelain traveled upstairs and awoke Cindy. He stumbled downstairs, bleary-eyed, to find her father shouting at Cheeves, "My fucking steak was supposed to be well done, you fucking idiot!" He spat. "Dad? What's wrong?" Leonidas turned around to see his daughter, staring at him with wide eyes, a smaller version of her mother in every respect. His voice was tight. "Go to your room, sweetheart. I'm just talking to Cheeves." She narrowed her eyes, looking at the state of the dining room, the spilt booze, the smashed plate, the steak's juices running down the wall, a steak knife still clutched in her father's shaking hand. Cindy ran to the butler and wrapped her arms around his leg. "No, I'm not going to leave." Leonidas looked at her and up to Cheeves. "Go to your room, Cindy." "No!" His eyes darkened, and his voice became louder. He advanced towards her and grabbed her by the wrist. "Go to your room, you little bitch!" "You're hurting me!" she cried. Leonidas smacked her across the face, and after the intentional shock, she began to cry. Looking down at her, his face softened, and he began to move closer to her again, but Cheeves moved in front of his path. "Please do not harm the girl, master." "Get the fuck out of my way." He reached into his pocket, then summoned his Typhlosion. "Typhlosion, get them out of my way." The beast released a burst of flames from its mouth. Cindy ran, and the Pokemon directed its attack towards the side of movement. With a flash, Cindy's white nightgown was alight. The light cotton acted as a quick emissionant as flames crept up her body. She was screaming and battling at her dress and screaming. Leonidas quickly realized what he had done, running towards his daughter and attempting to put out the flames, consuming her body. He grabbed the closest liquid and doused her with it. The fire blazed brighter, and Cindy screamed louder. "What on earth do you think you are doing?" Jeeves yelled, shoving the shocked Leonidas to the side. Tearing and ripping the burning nightgown, Jeeves soon found it was too late. Cindy's screaming ceased, and her body fell limp in the butler's arms. "Is she okay?" Leonidas said. "Cindy?" The little girl's arms were burnt black, her legs a raw, aching red. Her mouth was still open wide in the picture of agony. "Cindy?" 24 hours later, the door of the Old Chateau was broken down by a group of authorities. The smell of wine, blood, and burnt flesh hit their noses. They had been tipped off by a man who could barely speak through his sobbing. 2 people are dead in the mansion in the woods near Eterna. Inside of the house, they could hear the soft humming of a Pokemon crying. Following the noise, they walked into the dining hall. A wine-soaked table, a chandelier, an orange Pokemon hovering over the spot on the floor, humming quietly as it stared down at something. On the floor lay a girl, burnt black and red from her legs to her neck, almost in the shape of a dress. Her eyes were closed, as was her mouth. There were tears streaked down her face. 3 feet away from her lay an elderly man, a steak knife lodged in his throat. He was dressed in a typical butler's attire. To this day, no one has inhabited the Old Chateau except for Pokemon. Rumors say that Cindy and Jeeves still look through the rooms of the chateau, lost, looking for a way out. It is said that Rotom still plays with Cindy by turning into the television to prank Jeeves. "I got you, I got you." And that, little pups, was Old Chateau's secret. My final thoughts on the story? I love it. I mean, it's not every day you see creepypastas like this, and I know there are some places that don't really get a good story like this. Like, Levittown is the obvious first pick because, ooh, it's creepy, it's eerie. But the Old Chateau, at least for me, does deserve to get more recognition. And the only gripe I have with the grammar is in one sentence where it says "in his mouth" twice in a row. Subtract the second "in his mouth," and that's all I had to say on that one. But anything negative I would have to say would be nitpicks. I just really like the story. I really like the idea. And I also like the idea of the little girl and the butler just being really good friends, like a father and daughter type of thing. And that does raise the question, where are the girl's real parents? And the story kind of said, oh, the father was an abusive asshole, while the mother just died during childbirth, and this is not at all a bad idea. I absolutely love this story. So, as for a rating, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Aside for the one piece of bad grammar in that one sentence, I still like the story and the idea overall. But anyways, I hope you pups like this spoopy little creepypasta, and I will see you next time. Stay awesome, stay strong, and stay beautiful, and sweet dreams, pups.